Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's the Wrestling Classic. Justin here, back for another episode of the TWC Show. Once again, it seems like there's been so much wrestling these days with two AEW shows, Raw, Smackdown, NXT. We got Crown Jewel coming up. We got a King of the Ring tournament. We got a Queen's Crown tournament, not Queen's Court. Queen's Crown. We got a bunch of things going on, but before we get to all of that and I introduce my co-host, I just want to thank everybody that tuned into my casual conversation with Mariah May. Thank you guys for listening. I know you guys usually enjoy it when we get to talk because you guys know we go way back. We talked about her getting back into professional wrestling after the pandemic, working for Rev Pro, her Twitch stuff, her vlogs on YouTube, and so much more. So I appreciate everyone that checked that out either on the YouTube channel or on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you listen to the TWC show. That being said, guys, if you are listening to this, make sure you are following, you subscribe. Please leave a review. It really does help if you guys leave a review and a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. But if you are watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, drop a like, and you actually probably won't be able to watch this unless you're a Patreon user. So make sure you guys sign up to my Patreon, and you can sign up as low as $2. You guys get discounts on toys. You get the TWC show in video form. You guys get all the interviews early and everything like that. You also get exclusive TWC merch, which is coming soon. But that being said, we also added 2 new designs of TWC merch to my Pro Wrestling Tees store. So if you guys shop on Pro Wrestling Tees and you're going over there to buy yourself an AEW t-shirt, a CM Punk t-shirt, a Macho Man t-shirt, a Stone Cold t-shirt, and you got like, a little bit of a discount, go get yourself a TWC shirt as well. Represent our family. That all being said, we're going to get into this week's wrestling. And I feel like I've been talking a lot and I'm about to lose my breath. So I'm going to introduce my co-host this week. Returning again, none other than Nikki Bushi. How are we doing today?
We're doing good. I'm not representing the Wrestling Classic today. I am representing Bliss and Nikki Cross. So
okay,
the old Bliss Nikki Cross, that is.
You're not a Nikki Ash fan?
I'm not, actually. But I'm still a Bliss fan. What about you? You like Nikki? You look like you like Nikki.
Quick question. I don't like Nikki Ash. I think for the kids, it's wonderful. Halloween, we'll probably get a bunch of little Nikki Ashes out there. But not for my nearly 30-year-old ass. I want to ask you now that you brought that up really quickly. Do you think Alexa Bliss is coming back as OG Alexa Bliss, or is she coming back as spooky Firefly Funhouse Bliss?
Before Halloween, maybe spooky, maybe after something different. Maybe we'll see something backstage where she steps back into the old Bliss. But either way, I'm excited to see her either way. I love seeing her in the ring. She's grown. So maybe it'll be old Bliss.
Oh, and I'm interested to see what happens. Also on the show this week, returning again, none other than, actually you guys are both from Women's Wrestling Talk. I should have brought that up, but none other from Women's Wrestling Talk, also from the Joe Goldberg fan club. Santana, how are we doing today?
I really don't like the introduction. So let me introduce
the introduction.
So my name is Nickie and Santana. Yes, I am a part of Women's Wrestling Talk, but I'm also the founder of the Culture Commentator. Okay.
Now that you brought that up, actually, Mrs. Culture Commentator, how did you enjoy the backlash we got when I posted about your Big E article where you referenced the Wrestling Classic? Thank you for doing that, of course. But we posted about it. I shared it, told the people, check out this article. And the headline said, why would WWE let this goof become the WWE WWE champion? Now I sound like one of those people that says WWE championship, but the WWE champion. And there was like over, I think, 300 comments of debates about that article, and the many people that 225 comments of your article about Big E. How did you feel about the reaction that you got from the people?
I went to sleep feeling great that night. Like I accomplished exactly what I knew was going to happen. I knew that there were going to be people who was going to try to argue with me, but failed to do so. I knew that there would be a lot of people who would make comments that hadn't, and I knew for a fact that the idiots would not even read the article in the first place. They only read the title and went off of that. So automatically, even those who came after me, or even came to my DMs, or even came to my own Instagram, they failed tremendously. And assuming that you think that I'm going to block you, no, I am probably one of the biggest trolls you never want to get into an argument with. I don't block you. I don't have a reason to. If you, as soon as you respond to me, I'm in go mode. So whatever happens.
So I think the biggest thing I established from that too is what you brought up too. I feel like a lot of people like to just read the headline but not really read the article, because if they read the article, it was a swerve. You were trying to get their attention by using their words sarcastically that Big E's a goof and shouldn't be the WWE champion. He's too silly, doesn't act serious enough. And you used all the kind of their comments in that initial paragraph. Whereas in the second paragraph, you start off by saying, like, do I have your attention now? And you break down why Big E's the champion, all of his accomplishments, and you kind of back up why he's the champion, using examples of what other people said also off my page, of people's comments towards Big E as champion. Nobody read that shit. There was so many people that were just like coming at you for saying he's a goof when you were never even saying he was a fucking goof. It was literally just, and then there's the people that are like, yeah, I agree with you. And it's like, we don't even know if they're agreeing with the substance of the article.
Exactly. Like, do you even, that's why I was like, when people were making comments, I'm like, did you even read the article? Or like the whole thing about, well, what Big E is doing is it's not for kids. And I'm like, fuck them kids. Y'all was sitting there watching bikini matches. Sable was walking out here with pasties on her boobs or whatever. And y'all literally sat there and watch Edge and Lita have sex live on TV. So don't tell me that that's not for kids when there have been kids in the audience for a very, very long time.
No, I agree with you. And I actually agree with the Big E thing. And I also feel like in the last couple of weeks alone, we've seen Big E be a little bit more serious. If that's what they want, he's still Big E, but we've seen a more aggressive, dangerous side of Big E. And on top of that, I still stand by the fact that if you were going to compare Big E to anybody who was also silly and stuff, I would compare him to Kurt Angle, because Kurt Angle at the end of the day was funny. He could do the comedic act. Like, part of Kurt Angle's character in the early 2000s was that he was unaware of his social settings and how he was acting in a social setting, and just was stupid and goofy and would dress up like the Undertaker, like we're the American badasses, and put on small cowboy hats with Stone Cold and sing Jimmy Crack Corn, and he just do whatever, like drink a glass of milk and be funny. But you knew when he got in the ring, he was going to kick your ass because he's an Olympic gold medalist. On the flip side, yes, Big E's not an Olympic gold medalist or a background of amateur wrestling or whatnot, but this man can bench more than most of the people in that comment section can bench, probably like more than 90% of them. And also, if I was standing across the ring with Big E, I would hope that I was just fast enough, because he is big enough to kick my ass. So like, it makes sense, you know. Like, but
then onto that though, like the things that they were complaining about him doing, the grinding on the turnbuckle and making out with the championship, or the briefcase, or a dance behind Roman, all this shit happened at fucking live events. It's not like he's on TV humping the goddamn turnbuckle or making out with the title. He's not doing that. It's only happened at live events. Why? Because it's off script. They're there. The heels are not even heels there. They just having a fucking good time. And for people to actually be complaining about what happens at live events, I don't understand. I don't understand the correlation. It's not like he's on TV doing this. He's at a live event.
I've seen the silliest shit at live events, like the.
Like, what do you mean?
I remember seeing Breezango versus the Usos, where 90% of the match was, you know, the Usos switching from corner to corner, and one of the Breezango characters just rolling to the other side of the ring, and then you go to the other corner, and the Breezango character would roll to the other side of the ring, and it was just like, it was just for jokes and fun, because they can do that at live events, because it's not televised, because they can have more fun. I've spoken to many wrestlers in the past, obviously through interviews and just like personal conversations, with like, you know, honestly, sometimes we have a lot more fun at the live events than we do at the tape shows, because we have a lot more freedom to just kind of mess around, try things out, test things out. I know for a fact, like, I was at a live event in Vancouver one year, and the Miz had someone in the headlock, and I started yelling awful at him, and he started yelling awesome back at me, and we went back and forth for like a good 2 minutes. I'm like, awful, awesome, awful. But he would never be able to do that if it was on television. You know what I mean? Like, the People's Elbow, The Rock's People's Elbow, that was created at a live event as a joke to do an over-exaggerated elbow drop to try to make The Undertaker laugh in a tag team match. Just to try to crack The Undertaker's character and make him laugh, because he was doing this big elaborate elbow sequence just to drop an elbow drop. And that ended up being The Rock's finishing move. And now the most electrifying move in sports entertainment. It's a fucking elbow drop. But at a live event where he was allowed to have fun, he did it and it caught on. And they're like, no, keep doing that. For fuck's sakes, we're going to talk about AEW. Mick Foley, two or three-time WWE World Champion, used to pull a sock out of his crotch.
Exactly.
With a smiley face on it. and put it down people's mouths.
And people ate that shit up. And he was a champion. Multiple
nobody's
occasions.
saying
He had
shit
three
about
different. He had multiple personalities going on.
This man
What?
was beautiful.
What are you talking about? What are y'all saying? Like, y'all not making no sense. That's why I don't even waste my time. Like, that day, I was like, I got my black forces on. I'm ready for anybody. Like,
and it's also very contradicting. And you guys tell me if I'm wrong, because you guys know this more than I will. But there's always been this weird perception, not now more than in the past, because now we've seen a lot of dominant black top stars like Bobby Lashley and whatnot. But in the past, there's been a sort of perception that WWE would portray the black superstars as silly or having fun or just dancing, yada yada yada, but they would never be able to reach that level. But now it's like you can do both, and I think the New Day characters broke that mold. Do you guys not agree? So it's kind of shitty that they break that mold, and yeah, now they're showing that they just can have fun and they can do silly shit and they can make jokes like booties and whatnot. But 2 out of 3 members of the New Day have been former WWE champions now. So like, shouldn't that be like a good thing, like that you can be yourself and be the WWE champion, having to change yourselves to fit some sort of mold, or like, you know?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I just feel as if like they do have a stereotype when it comes to black wrestlers. Like, if they're, especially those who look up the stature of Big E and a Bobby Lashley. Like, what if Bobby Lashley was doing some shit like Big E? That I don't think people will probably be saying something or saying that, oh, well, Bobby, he's supposed to be this dominator. He's supposed to be this big guy. He shouldn't be acting like this because I can't take him seriously. And it's like I said before, if Big E was sitting next to me and this guy was just dancing and then the bell rings and he stopped dancing, I'd be terrified.
I mean, and I completely understand. Trust me, there has not been an Indian wrestler on that roster that hasn't been Indian, like, ever. From Tiger Ali Singh to Jinder Mahal, from Shanky to the Singh brothers, like, you know, like any Caucasian wrestler could be any character they want. They can be a butcher, they can be a garbage man, they can be a really good wrestler like AJ Styles. They can just be themselves, like Seth Rollins at times and whatnot. But with you know, Jinder and the Singh brothers and Shanky and Great Khali, they were all stereotyped into this certain Indian sort of persona, you know. And
it's the same with black wrestlers too. Like, they have to be more like street gear. They have to be more urban for them to be over, because with any, not to make it like anything dealing with race wise, but with white, you know, they have their own gimmicks and whatnot. Sometimes we have some who choose to want to try to come over into being the urban department. Not to say anything about John Cena, because I am a fan. But however, when John Cena was doing his urban gimmick and raps and with the big chains and the jerseys and the hats and whatnot, nobody uttered anything. And even when Crime Time came along, and they were, I mean, generically, they were what we will definitely, if you're in a black community, that's something that you would really see. But people ate it up because they thought it was funny, because it's stereotypical, but not every black person acts the way that they do or look like them. The same way not every Indian or Middle Eastern acts the same way or speaks the same way or anything like that.
Yeah, but they're all from Canada, most of them, and they're
from
India. And they got to wear a turban. And I understand you want to cater to the Indian audience, but like, wouldn't it be like a better representation to have an Indian wrestler who was really good at wrestling and just as good as an AJ Styles or Seth Rollins or these other guys, and got to just be like himself, rather than like he had to be like this full-on Indian? Imagine me, say if I want to be a wrestler, for example, I would sit there as a kid and be like, oh, so like I have to grow up and I want to be a wrestler, but I'd have to be like an Indian. Like, I'd have to like wear a turban or play this sort of gimmick. I couldn't just be like Justin Dhillon. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, you could be like Muhammad Hassan, who's actually Italian.
I mean, and listen, there are some people who embrace their cultures and it works out for them for the best. Like, for example, Roman Reigns and being the tribal chief with a Samoan heritage. But we've seen people that try to drift away from it, like a Muhammad Ali and Ali. Mustafa Ali. Sorry, Mustafa.
Why don't you call him Muhammad, Lord?
Like Mustafa Ali. That's my boy.
Don't be disrespecting him like that.
He wanted to keep his name, but not play a stereotypical, Pakistani or Muslim character. from that descent. Like he wanted to be like a regular wrestler, and he tried real hard. But like if you really look at Mustafa Ali's run in the WWE, a lot of the stuff he's done recently, leading like a terrorist group, tag teaming him with Mansoor, like they're putting him back in that stereotypical little system where it's like he just wants to be Mustafa Ali. Why can't we get a Mustafa Ali versus Bobby Lashley feud where it's Mustafa Ali is just Mustafa Ali?
They like to group everybody together. Look at the Asians. They group them in a faction together. The Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane together. It's like they always try to group minorities in a sense together into something and try to create something there. But with the counterparters, they can be put anywhere and they get to be themselves still. It's not like they have to change their gimmick or change anything or change who they are. They get to be that. But if you're Asian, you're gonna be exactly that. That's it. You're gonna have a name that represents you and your culture, and that's it. Simple as that. They don't do that for anybody else.
It's a weird dynamic. I think people should just be happy that Big E's a champion. I think he's been doing. I think was it last weekend? Like when we recorded, that man was fucking everywhere. He was at the boxing fight for Tyson Fury. He did the intro promo. He was at some NFL thing for Fox. Like he was all over the place. Like they are pushing Big E as a WWE champion. They're trying.
They are.
They know they don't have to worry about Roman. Roman's established. He's done this. He's been the champion before. He's doing his thing. They're trying to make Big E seem like a big deal, and they're really pushing it hard. I think the fans should just, instead of jumping to conclusions, instead of saying it was like, listen, I said I agreed with most of you. I do think they jumped the gun with the cash in. I think it happened too early. I feel like they did it for the wrong reasons, and I wasn't really like prepared for it when it happened. I was happy for Big E, but I was kind of like, this feels like it just like happened without like any build up or real like anticipation. Like we all anticipated him cashing in, but I just wish there was like more to it than, hey guys, I'm gonna show up on Raw and I'm gonna cash in on Bobby Lashley, and then he did. I agree with you guys that was all fucked up, but everything since then, he's shown to be a champion that walks with his back straight and his head high and happy and proud to be that champion. And he's ready to defend it. He's going to be defending it this Thursday against Drew McIntyre. And we'll talk about that in a little bit too. But if you guys haven't seen the article, go to theculturecommentator.com. Check out the Big E article. There's a bunch of other articles and interviews there as well. Not only wrestling-based guys, entertainment, music, TV shows, movies, all that stuff. Go check that out. I'm sure if you follow Santana, as many of you did, and attacked her on her personal page, you will find that link in her bio. Moving forward, I want to ask you guys both a question before we get back to wrestling. Really quickly answer, just because I know Santana, I've been talking to you about You season 3 that dropped this week. We've been talking about it a lot. For any of you fans, I want you guys to know I watched the entire season in literally 2 sittings and fucked myself up. And then last night I watched the Halloween movies by Rob Zombie featuring Michael Myers, which I've never watched before. So my question for you guys is a battle to the finish. Who wins, Michael Myers or Joe Goldberg?
Michael Myers. Who is this Goldberg you keep talking about?
Joe Goldberg.
In
the guy.
The one who's my spirit.
Talking about Goldberg, like I'm like,
what is Joe Goldberg if Michael Myers fell in love with the same woman? Who would win?
Michael Myers doesn't fall in love, so
we don't know. It could happen.
Absolutely
not. Trying to seduce that man, and that fails tremendously. That man's only thing on his mind is killing. Joe falls for people who deal with the same thing that he has dealt with in his life.
Fair enough.
That's what Joe does, and so it causes problems because Joe is always trying to save the world. He's always trying to save somebody. Michael is just killing bitches. He don't give a fuck who you are. He don't care about your backstory.
I learned that.
If I want to kill you, you're dead. You shouldn't keep my name out your mouth, basically.
I don't know if it's a scary thing, but I admire both of them very much, and I think they're both doing a really good job at their careers. Successful murders, guys. Successful murders. It's spooky season, but I just wanted you guys to pick your brains on that. I'm gonna go on and talk about the 2 brackets for the King of the Ring and the Queen's Crown tournament and where we're at right now, guys. There is still semi-final matches that are going to happen tomorrow on Monday Night Raw, so we don't officially know the final matches, but this is what we do know. We do know that Xavier Woods beat Ricochet on Raw this past week, and that Jinder Mahal surprisingly beat Kofi Kingston. A lot of people wanted the Kofi Xavier match and wanted the drama of like the two friends being forced to face each other, yet both trying to win. And I think, I think the WWE's, like, I don't know if Xavier pitched it to them to keep bringing back together, but I think they know that the fans want Xavier to win this. Like, they're aware of it. So they like are, I think they know, because let's be honest, I find it more stressful that Jinder is facing Xavier than Kofi, because if it was Xavier and Kofi, I would have been like, well, Kofi, like, he's cool. Like, they'll let Xavier win, But with Jinder, I'm like, what if they let Jinder win just to piss everybody off? Thoughts?
I didn't know if Nicki wanted to go first, because
I mean, I'm rooting for Jinder. I mean, I know it's designed for Xavier, and I know this is something that he said. He's been quoted to say that he wants this more than a title. He's been very vocal on that. I think it is designed. I also think that people forget that this is the WWE. We don't get what we want, and they play off of that. That's what's wrong with social media, is that people spend so much time giving fantasies that could actually be booked, instead of just, and I hate to be this person, but instead of just letting them write and letting them create and kind of come up with it on their own and kind of feel like it's fresh. We knew damn well we were not getting Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston.
Yeah, and they
we knew that, and I think the irony is that if Xavier doesn't win, I am curious to see the reaction on not only him losing, but losing to Jinder. So, I feel, and I say this to say, those same people that are going to be mad at Xavier are going to be happy if Balor wins. So they pick
and that on the flip side is what makes it a lot more scary, is because Balor's the one that beat Sami Zayn and made it to the finals, which we all expected, because Sami was not going to go to Saudi Arabia. That was not going to happen, especially with all the stuff he's linked to when it comes to Syria and his support for that. But Balor won, and Balor is officially in the finals. We know that after what happened on Smackdown. The traditionalist in me is like, they would probably want to go babyface versus heel, which would be Balor versus Jinder, and then now you're kind of worried, is Jinder going to win this or is Balor going to win this? But then on the flip side, you're sitting there and you're thinking to yourself, well, they could do the whole Balor versus Xavier thing, and that gets people to kind of root against Finn Balor. How do you feel, Santana?
I feel like that could be, but I mean, for me personally, I am rooting for Xavier Woods. I really am, because I feel like out of all the things that he really have accomplished with WWE, as far as like being in the group with even his own singers running NXT, and even with being grouped with, the New Day and whatnot, Biggie, Kofi, they've had their moments. Xavier is always the one who's kind of left out, the underdog, achiever, or how they will put it. I think a lot of people forget how good of a wrestler that Xavier is. Personally, he is so amazing in the ring, and I think a lot of people started to realize that when he faced Bobby Lashley in the Hell in a Cell. That was a really, really good match. And I feel as if like Xavier should be the person to win. However, they are going to Saudi, and it's possible. It is possible that they could be going for Jinder to win this, or they could swerve us. Jesus Christ, they could swerve us. And right now, how I look at it is that everybody's pretty much already looking as if like Jinder is going to be the person to win this, right? So if Jinder doesn't win and Xavier does, then this is going to be very interesting to see, because as of right now, the only other, I guess, match that we have that would be for Saudi is like Mustafa and Mansoor.
Which Mansoor is also going to win. And just quickly to touch on that,
we know,
I fucking understand it and I get it. And it's like, okay, we'll have these guys fight, and they'll fight in Saudi, and Mansoor will pick up the big win in front of his hometown and all of that.
Mm-hmm. Or make them lose.
But
I am curious though.
I'm not a fan of them breaking them up that fast. Go on, Nicki.
Yeah.
I was just curious, do we get the demon in Saudi?
No.
No. Nah. It's against the religious. The demons got to stay out because they're in Saudi.
I didn't think about that. I just figured that he would be full character.
Nah,
I don't know. And I think I don't know. That's a good question though. I don't know if that happens. You called it, but I don't think it's going to happen. But I just to touch on that again. Like I just don't like I didn't like the whole putting Mustafa and Mansoor together just to break them up this quickly. I actually kind of liked them as a team. They were growing on me. I looked at them as contenders for the tag titles eventually. It just because know what's going to happen after this. Well, after Crown Jewel, like what are either one of those guys going to do? Continue to fight each other on main event? Like what's going to happen?
But they both going to Smackdown together. So I mean, who knows what will happen? I mean, who knows how long we'll really be seeing Mansoor either though. I mean, who knows where Mustafa is going to be going either.
Yeah.
You know, like the only time we get to see a lot of them is when they're about to get ready for Crown Jewel. After that, we don't see them anywhere. There'll be no Gender, no Shanky, no Veer, no Mustafa, no Mansoor. All of the Brown brothers, they're not going to be there. Okay. After Saudi, that's it. Like come on now. Every time Saudi comes around, they start putting them on TV, giving them a little airtime, a little match here, a little storyline here. And then after Saudi, it's back to the white on rice. Okay.
Yeah, I really hope that they do something. I actually really do. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Gender, and he's my boy. So I hope, I wouldn't be against him winning the Kingdom, but I do think it's Xavier's moment, in my opinion. I do think this is for him. But and Finn, listen, man, Finn has had some of the weirdest booking in the WWE since day one. Ever since he won that Universal title, then lost, just horrible. And I'm not talking about his NXT runs because both of his NXT runs were fucking amazing. I'm talking about his Raw and SmackDown runs have been so.
That last one is debatable, but that's
he was a champion though. He held the Brown down as a champion.
But he didn't hold the Black and Gold brand down, but that's another story.
No, yeah, he was no Adam Cole, baby, but he came there and he did his thing. But he's accomplished more in NXT than he's ever accomplished on the main roster. He's won Intercontinental titles, he's been the Universal, but it just seems like he's always just kind of floundering. But the thing about Finn is, my point is that even if he was to lose to Xavier, for some reason, it still doesn't hurt Finn. And I don't know why that is. Even though he's booked so poorly, it just doesn't hurt him. Fans will still like him. He'll still get put in positions where he's booked in solid parts of the card. I hope now that he's back on Raw, eventually he's one of the next people that goes after Big E or whoever. I think Finn will be fine. Xavier wins this King of the Ring would be just a happy moment. The fans will pop for it. We'll get what we want. And honestly, when you got a company on the other side giving the fans what they want on a regular basis, more times than not, WWE needs to give the fans what they want every once in a while. Otherwise, people are really going to be tuning out.
I will say this. Corbin was king for quite some time and lost. So who's not to say that Xavier, just because he doesn't win the tournament, doesn't mean he doesn't become king?
No, Corbin won the tournament.
But didn't Shinsuke beat him for the
crown? He just beat him for the
crown. Look how long Corbin was walking around being king.
I hate the king gimmicks, though. I'm not gonna lie.
True, but what I'm saying is, what they can do is just because he doesn't win the tournament doesn't mean he can't win or beat whoever has won and take a heel turn.
It would require a heel turn for sure.
Yeah. Definitely. That means that him losing after the fact will require him to go crazy.
Yeah. Let's jump to the women really quickly. Doudrop beat Natalya on Monday Night Raw. We had Shayna Baszler beat Dana Brooke. For some reason, Nikki was rooting for Dana Brooke. I don't understand why. Team Corey Graves.
Let me pop in. Dana, if you are out there, you have people that like you. Okay. I know this guy to my left or right, however you're looking, and Corey Graves don't really give a fuck about you. But Dana,
I don't fuck about you, Corey.
Shut up. You've been here. All I said was don't go into a match just because you think it's Shayna Baszler, who is phenomenal, but hasn't touched the surface since NXT. Let's just be honest. I always feel like there's some sense of doubt in Dana that should not be there. Physically, she's good. She doesn't put on bad matches. Now, Is she a fave? No, but I don't. To say that I wasn't rooting for her is a lie. I do think that Shayna Baszler is built for this tournament. But yeah, I would have loved to see Dana go over. I would have also loved to see Natalya win as well. So I didn't get what I want. So to that point, I hope Carmella wins.
Nikki, true to the underdogs, but Carmella's not going to win.
She can't win. So
because
I still hope she wins.
My queen, the princess of Staten Island, the beautiful Carmella, the most beautiful woman in the WWE, she lost exactly the way that I thought she was going to lose. Because Liv Morgan came out there, caused a long enough distraction stealing her mask that Carmella got distracted for too long, got back in that ring, got rolled up by Zelina Vega. 1, 2, 3. Now Zelina Vega is in the finals of the Queen's Crown tournament to face off against either Shayna Baszler or Doudrop, and I think we all are on the same page. It's going to be Shayna Baszler.
We're not.
Do you think it's going to be Zelina Vega versus Doudrop?
Yeah.
There's only one way that happens, because we saw Shayna Baszler come with Sonya Deville and beat the crap out of Naomi. What if Naomi cost Shayna Baszler the match against Doudrop for Retribution this Monday on Raw? And Zelina Vega becomes our queen of the court.
No, it'll be Doudrop.
What?
What? You think Zelina's gonna win?
You're like the ultimate underdog rooter. Natalya?
No, I just know how this works. Natalya should have won the whole thing.
Anything in her career. And Doudrop?
Natalya, if you're listening, you should have won.
Oh, all up to Natalya, but like this wasn't her time.
It's always time for Natty. I do. I don't think Zelina's gonna win. I think whoever she faces, she'll lose. I don't think that she has anything going besides saying that she's gonna win and her frenemy. You see, Carmella sold her the pin, so I just don't see. I think they're gonna give her an opportunity to kind of showcase what she's capable of. But I don't have high hopes for Zelina winning. I think that whoever, like I said, she faces, she will lose. I think they'll put on a swift match. So it is what it is.
Shout out to my girl Carmella, though. I'm wearing a Carmella t-shirt right now for those of you watching on the Patreon, or if you see clips on the YouTube, or on my Instagram page. This is my custom-made Carmella t-shirt because I'm not a big fan of her merch on www.shop.com. No, these are not for sale. But you'll probably see me wearing this and the other one quite a bit now for videos and stuff like that, because I was going to show love to Carmella, because Carmella always shows love to the page. And also, guys, Carmella has officially been drafted to Raw for the first time since 2016. I know she's appeared on Raw a bunch of times in the past, especially during the wild card 24/7 7-Eleven title era. But she accomplished a lot on the blue brand, easy for me to say, and former SmackDown Women's Champion, 2-time Money in the Bank champion, Women's WrestleMania Battle Royal winner, semifinals to the Queen's Crown tournament, 24/7 champion. She's done a whole bunch of stuff. I listed them all out on my Instagram page. Hyped to see Carmella on Raw, and hopefully she can win that red title somewhere down the road. But I know the first Raw we're going to get after Crown Jewel, we're probably going to get Carmella versus Liv Morgan 233 time on Raw to settle their feud. I'm a fan of Liv too. She looked great on SmackDown. But I want to go to Santana for a second, because I did bring up something, and I thought we were going to talk about AEW first, but we're already talking about this, and we're already almost going an hour. This is what happens. Naomi, Sonya Deville, the beatdown with Shayna Baszler. How do you feel about it? What were your initial reactions? I called that I don't think Sonya was going to actually wrestle her on SmackDown. That was never going to happen. She came out in a suit, introduced Shayna, and they both just beat the crap out of Naomi, and nobody came to save her. Not even the Usos.
Why would the Usos be in women's business in the first place? Like,
that man's wife was getting her ass whooped.
Technically, she was fighting back. Now, it ain't like she got no beat down. She was fighting back. You know what I'm saying? However, like, Shayna Baszler was gonna knock out the Usos or something.
She would have. I would have seen that. Roman would have been pissed.
Well, Roman bring his big self out there then and fight Shayna.
The story is there. I will say, to your point, though, I do agree that when you're put into a handicap match you are automatically shown as a dominating force. As dominating as Shayna Baszler is, if you have to put two people up against someone, whether they are cleared to wrestle, not cleared, injured, or not, when you have a handicap match against someone, it does exceed dominance. And to that point, Naomi was doing great in the match. There was no need for the segment. And if you go back to the show last week, I believe it was last week, I said that this storyline is a waste of time for Naomi. And I'm done.
Is it though? Because they're building Naomi up. Yes, she got beat up this week, but eventually she's gonna
What
get
is
her
there
revenge.
to build up? No, we already know who Naomi is. We know the things she had established already. This is a way to find a way to get Sonya back into the ring. There's nothing to say that, oh well, this is a way to show that this is what Naomi can do. It's like, no, it's not doing anything.
Maybe she's gonna form a new tag team with someone to fight Shayna and Sonya.
No, we don't need her in no more tag teams. Like, tag team Naomi is done.
Naomi with Tamina as a big heavy.
Absolutely not. Like, tag team is like done for Naomi. Naomi needs to be on her singles run.
That's what me and Santana do. We're the most dominating tag team. We don't need other tag teams to come up. Naomi can do whatever she can do without this extraness. This is only done to benefit Sonya. There is nothing that in this storyline has been created. It's the same thing they did with Mandy Rose when she was feuding with Mandy Rose. There was nothing that benefited Naomi besides helping Mandy. And I mean, I personally felt like that feud was way more entertaining. But it only led to more Mandy and Sonya. So this ain't doing shit.
But I just feel as if with this whole segment thing and whatnot, I knew that Sonya was not going to be wrestling. Mm-hmm. I honestly did not think that Shayna was going to be the one to come out.
Yeah, I thought
it was going to be somebody else.
Somebody, but not Shayna. Shayna was my last.
True. But then again, it means that there could be possibly something that could be formed between Sonya and Shayna when Shayna gets to SmackDown. They already made it clear that there is going to be something there. Who knows? It could be a possible tag team.
Maybe.
You know what I'm saying?
Maybe.
It could be a four horse women type thing going on.
Didn't someone say they were going to try to put Sonya with Shayna Joe said that in the clubhouse. Mm-hmm. They're going to somehow do 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen, but they're going to put Sonya with Shayna, Marina, and Ronda.
Yeah. I mean, Sonya's an MMA fighter as well. She's way better than Ronda Rousey in the ring.
Other thing I was thinking about was maybe this makes Sonya feel like she now owes Shayna a title shot after she wins the Queen's Crown tournament, but also when she comes to SmackDown. So whether Sasha walks out the belt or Charlotte shows up, Sonya's like, no. There's one person that has actually earned this shot already. And it's Shayna who's getting this favoritism now because she's
going to win it.
And she's going to win it. And Sasha's going to take another break. I love you, Sasha, but your heart's not in it no more.
Well, who's going to think Sasha's going to win? Let's just be honest. Charlotte's on the blue break.
I want to switch really quickly to the fact that SmackDown did go head-to-head with Rampage on Friday. Rampage decided to start a little bit an hour earlier. So they started while SmackDown was on. And then SmackDown ran a half hour into Rampage's first half hour. Really fun night of wrestling, really overwhelming, but it ended up being really fun. I was there for all of it. But I quickly want to speak on the words that Roman Reigns had about AEW this past week prior to all of this happening. Obviously, Tony Khan was running around saying Raw sucks. AEW's been better. We're killing it. We are competition. Yada yada. Tony Khan's been running his mouth all week long. So Roman did a handful of interviews leading up to this big FS1 Fox Super Show for SmackDown that they were building because they had 2 hours and a half. And he was saying things like, I think because AEW are the new kids on the block, they're the cool kids in town. I guess because of how premature and how novel it kind of still is, I think they're still being babied by these hardcore wrestling fans, which is fine. We all agree that AEW caters to the hardcore wrestling fans, and the hardcore wrestling fans kind of put AEW on a pedestal because they do cater to them. They give the hardcore wrestling fans what they want. That being said, we literally got Bryan Danielson versus Minoru Suzuki on the buy-in for Rampage. A match with no build-up, with no really story behind it. But because the hardcore wrestling fans know the background of Minoru Suzuki and they love Bryan Danielson as the wrestler, Tony catered to the wrestling fans. Was like, you know what? While you're watching SmackDown, why not hop on YouTube and watch this match? which proves Roman's point that AEW and Tony does a really good time of babying and catering to the hardcore wrestling fans. Because people that aren't hardcore wrestling fans, and Nikki, you can tell me, because you're not like, you're a big wrestling fan, but you're not like that hardcore, I'm going to watch New Japan, I know the history type of wrestling fan. Did you care about Minoru Suzuki versus Bryan Danielson? Be completely honest.
I don't, because there's one factor in there that I don't care about, and that's DB. Okay. However he would like to be addressed, I don't give a shit about him. I think he's a great wrestler.
Yeah.
But I mean, and I don't know the history. Now I am in Nashville, so I do love a lot of the people at Impact, and I think they do a great job. That's probably the furthest I will go. So no, I didn't even watch.
You're not a hardcore wrestling fan because you wouldn't be on the show unless you were somewhat of a.
Well, no, you said it already. So look, you said what you said. You're not like stand brother.
Because like I this is the way I look at wrestling.
I just don't. I think the correction is I just don't feed into the bullshit of men's wrestling like everyone else does. So
because I'm like, as much as they cater to those fans, like they're not necessarily catering to someone like you. So maybe Roman has a point, because what WWE does do a really good job of, and I'm kind of happy to talk positively of WWE, because for weeks I feel like we've been hyping up AEW, but the truth is the WWE does do a really good job of catering to different sorts of fans. They cater to the fans that want the men's wrestling, they cater to the fans that want the women's wrestling. How good has all the shit that Sasha, Bianca, Becky, and Charlotte done in the past 2 weeks? Like, for fans of women's wrestling, every segment has been almost like money. The promos, the contract signings. When they had that tag match on Monday, what was the thing I said as they were coming out? And I'm like, listen, there's no reason that any of these women should be able to get along. You're like, no, they probably can. Like, I'm like, no. Like, honestly, as they were coming, I'm like, it makes absolutely positively no sense that Sasha at this point in her career would get along with Bianca, or Becky and Charlotte are just gonna be cool with each other. And I'm like, this is not gonna be a match. And we got a brawl right off the bat. Everybody was fighting each other, fighting their own partners. Even when they got the match back together, I'm like, there's no way this is gonna work out, because it shouldn't. And that's smart, and it makes sense. So like, you can't say the WWE is stupid when it comes to booking and their shows, or saying they don't get it, because they do, but they do cater to a larger audience.
Or saying that women are taking a back seat to Charlotte Flair. That's a popular one on Clubhouse. Let's not forget that. And saying that the division is suffering when you have veterans like Natalia for years upon years. I think it's very juvenile in a sense. And the demographic that AEW has learned to cater to is not the same demographic that you cater to on a Monday night or a Friday night or NXT 2.0. It's all different. And I think that if people would just shut the hell up and stop worrying about ratings and just enjoy the grasp of wrestling and just enjoy what we have, especially that Black wrestling is really thriving right now. Women's wrestling is really thriving right now in any promotion. If you don't like it, go somewhere else. Now, I look, and if you out there and you trying to find some women's wrestling, do not go to AEW. Okay, Britt Baker, you doing your thing. Jay, you doing your thing. But everything else is very stale. And I think to that point, I did hear that Charlotte did have her hands in the background of Raw, and the past month, it's been better for the women. We've literally got a Raw that had 4 women's matches and that were lengthy. Now, true enough, the tournament averaged 2 minutes, 3 months. They could have been, but it's a tournament, people. We want to get through this. There's timing that goes into this. We're going to Crown Jewel. They're pushing that Crown Jewel. We have to have 2 matches and 3 matches and 4 matches of the tournament on one show within 3 to 2 hours. So if people would just enjoy and find the comfort of what they really love and what they enjoy and who they enjoy, and root for people that they want to root for, none of this will matter. Like, and AEW is not competition. I'm sorry. I
think they are, but before I get to Roman's second point, I want to look at the matches we did get from the women. So we got Tay Conti versus Santana Garrett on the buy-in as well, along with Bobby Fish and Lee Moretti and Suzuki and Danielson. No back onto the match, no reason behind the match, just a match happening for the sake of the match happening. You can complain that we get Liv and Carmella over and over and over and over again, But to that point, there's a purpose behind that match because they've been feuding each other since June. There's a purpose behind the tournament matches. There's a purpose behind why Sasha, Bianca, Becky, and Charlotte are all fighting each other with their large egos and championships and everything that's going on. Like, it makes sense. The second match we had on Rampage on the actual show was Ruby Soho versus the Bunny. At no point did I see these women feuding each other, but I guess it started a feud. But once again, it came in there with no purpose. We had a really good match on Rampage. I'm going to jump to the men really quickly between CM Punk and Matt Sydal. I knew this match was going to be good, ended up being great. It was a really good wrestling match. I enjoy, and this is going to sound really redundant because I say this on the show all the time, I enjoy a good wrestling match just as much as the next person. I'm writing a list right now of Bret Hart's 30 greatest matches, and there's so many matches on there that led to nothing, didn't have a storyline built around it, but just was a really good Bret Hart versus Ricky Steamboat, Bret Hart versus Diamond, just really good wrestling matches, you know? And I enjoy that shit. I really fucking do. And this was a really good match. And if I ever made a CM Punk AEW greatest matches list one day, this match would probably be on it. But that being said, I wasn't invested in it to the sense where I cared about the outcome so much because there was no story or angle going into it. And that's the thing with AEW, and something that they do a lot is they give us really great matches, really cool matchups. We look forward, like, I can't wait to see this match. But a lot of the times they don't lead to nothing. They don't mean nothing. And they can be really good matches, but no storylines are progressed. No characters are really progressed. And everything is just moving along fluidly. There's some cool shit happening. Miro got a hell of a fucking promo on Dynamite that I enjoyed. That made me like invest in a treat of what is Miro going to do next. This was God's champion that is now mad at God, and he's furious. Like, there is stuff going. That Hangman promo on Dynamite was such a beautiful babyface promo. He touched on everything that's happened in this whole, and the Hangman story is probably the best long-term story they've told in AEW since its inception, of him losing the championship against Jericho in the first crowning the first champion, him losing his friends with the Elite, him feeling like a loner, him trying to befriend FTR only for them to like use him befriending the Dark Order, then like, it's such a good story, and it's been leading up to this point where he faces Kenny. And that's why that promo made sense, but because there was a story there, but there's so much on AEW that doesn't come with the stories. Let's look at the women on AEW. Okay, like, let's look at Dynamite really quickly before I get to Roman Reigns' next point. You had Penelope face off against, I believe it was
Kiera Hogan.
Cool. Kiera Hogan finally made her AEW debut on Dynamite, not on Dark. I mean, on national television debut.
Right.
And Penelope won because she's obviously someone they've been focusing on more than Kiera when it comes to AEW since day one. And then Ruby Soho came on and confronted her. Sweet, cool. We complained for weeks. Like, that segment made sense. There was something there. They're trying to start this Penelope, Ruby, Ali feud. Cool. We had Sheeta attack Serena Deeb backstage, which sometimes I feel like these two women are wrestling for a whole entirely different company, but they're here for some reason, and I don't know why I feel that way. And two, Anna Jay just got a title shot against Britt Baker. We went for weeks saying, like, we don't know who Britt Baker's facing next. We don't know who Britt Baker's facing next. And now she's just facing Anna Jay. We had Aleister Black, Malachi Black, Tommy End, whatever you want to call him, facing Dante Martin, going way longer than they needed to go. I think you could still have made Dante Martin look good, give him some offense, made him look like he almost had Aleister Black or Malachi Black or Tommy End, without the match having to go like 18, 20 minutes. They could have done that under 10 minutes and still made Dante look good, because Aleister Black should be kicking the heads off of guys like Dante Martin and Lee Johnson and having maybe a little bit more competitive matches against Cody's and Dustin's, sure. That's just my opinion. I don't want him to have 20-minute matches against guys that are still coming up. He shouldn't be doing that. We had Bryan Danielson wrestle with Bobby Fish in a really good technical match, but once again, it meant nothing, did nothing. It was just a really good match. Once again, I don't hate really good matches. I really enjoyed it. Is it a part of a bigger storyline angle? Absolutely, positively not. Did it do anything for Bryan Danielson's character or Bobby Fish's character? Absolutely not. Was it a good match? Sure. Jon Moxley killed somebody. We had FTR won the AAA Tag Championship titles. I'm really happy about that. Shout out to them. I like the angle. I like them coming out there as fake luchadors, the Fabulous Frogs or whatever it was. The commentary, CM Punk was on commentary this week, which is, he's always funny on there. And they found out that it was FTR pretty early on. And we're going to continue having FTR versus the Lucha Brothers, hopefully for the other tag titles, or both tag titles at Full Gear, and I fuck with that. And I think they're finally doing something with FTR, and I'm happy. We had the Bucks and Adam Cole face off against the Dark Order in a really silly, fun match, But once again, led to nothing, meant nothing. Nothing's gonna happen. Jungle Boy came out after. Is he feuding Brandon Cutler? Is he feuding Adam Cole? Is he feuding the Young Bucks? Who's he feuding? I don't know. Jurassic Express got attacked backstage earlier. Like, there's stuff happening, but nothing's like concise. Nothing's so compelling other than maybe Hangman Page for me to really care. We got Pac versus Andrade 2 on Rampage this week. For what fucking reason? They haven't even talked to each other since the last time they wrestled each other. And now we're getting a part 2. And I read the spoilers. I know what happens. It's pretty, we'll see where it goes from there. But still, like, what was the reasoning behind booking this match again? Does anybody know? Like, why is Anna Jay facing Britt Baker when they haven't even crossed paths for the last 2 months? Anna Jay and Ali and Penelope and Tay Conti have been feuding each other, but now all of a sudden Anna Jay was called the loser and she's getting a title shot because Britt Baker thinks she's a loser? That's the storyline? What the fuck is, like, as much as I love this company and they have all this talent that I care about, like, I'm the biggest CM Punk fan, but even I'm getting sick of him just wrestling random people, not being in a feud that he can sink his teeth into. And then when they have nothing to do with him, let's just have him come out here, cut a promo, and sit on commentary. Give him something to sink his teeth into. Every time someone walked up the ramp on Dynamite, whether it was Malachi, whether it was MJF, I'm like, can somebody just go attack CM Punk so we can start something? Because, like, I love the MJF stuff. I love the Darby stuff. I love the Hangman stuff. There are, like, I'm not that invested in the whole America's Top Team and the Inner Circle situation, but I can't say it hasn't been good. What I've seen, it's been good. I just personally don't care about that angle. The promo's been good. The match has been good. I just don't care. That all being said, do you guys have any thoughts about my AEW rant right now, or are you guys good on that?
I will say this, and I'm sure, I don't know if Santana's going to say anything. There's a lot of WWE like fantasy booking going on. And maybe it's just me. That's what I feel like in a lot of the men's matches. Especially when Adam Cole, and I'm honestly have been one of the biggest Adam Cole fans for years now, and I really don't even, like, it's hard for me to even see him in AEW. Like, it transpires very differently. And I jokingly say WWE fantasy booking because of the influence, of course, has to come from somewhere. When you have stock in pro wrestling, when you are the biggest company and have been since the 80s and even before that with working with other companies. I stand by what I said. AEW is not competition. What they are another wrestling brand. And
they are an alternative.
They are alternative, but that doesn't make you competition. What it does is it allows for competition talks and things when wrestling fans cross over, and I think that's the fun part about it. To the point, they don't know what they're doing with the women. You just name things that have nothing to do with nothing. People thought that Ruby was going to go over there and just beat Britt. Don't know why. I don't know why people thought that Ruby was going to get a rocket. A lot of the contention that's been put on Ruby is sympathy. And it happens a lot. You feel bad for people who are in WWE and then they go, these other brands, and then they do phenomenal. Everybody can't be a Deanna. Everybody can't be a Britt Baker. I don't know what they thought was going to happen to Ruby, but I'm going to just say this. To me, and this is just me, y'all didn't fuck with Ruby like that. That's just me. I don't know. Y'all just, as soon as she got released, it was like, all hail the queen. And, oh my God, I can't believe they did this to her. And, oh my God, I thought she was going to get a shot. And then them same people on Liv's ass now. So it's like, figure out something. Because it's stale. Like, it's really stale.
And every time I see her, I think of that. And my only reason I kind of like the Ruby thing is that the one thing I can say I was saying before she left WWE is that I always thought Ruby would prosper anywhere else but the WWE. Whether it's AEW, Impact, I'm like, if she went anywhere else, she'd have a better chance of being a star than she's ever going to have in this company because of her aesthetic. That's the only thing I've ever said. That being said, you're right. I can't ever say I was really a Ruby fan. That was just my opinion of her glass ceiling in the WWE. So, like, when she left, I was a little bit excited for her because I'm like, oh, now she can break out of that glass ceiling that she was never going to break through in the WWE. But that being said, you're right. Like, I don't think I really necessarily, like, there's no part of me that's like, man, I can't wait till Ruby Riott wins the AEW Women's Championship. Like, it's cool. She's there. She actually has an opportunity to do so with that company, but that's about it. And the fact that she fought Britt, lost to Britt, and now she's like feuding with Tay Conti and Penelope. It's almost like they don't know how to properly wrap up feuds in the women's division, or they just, I don't know. Once again, AEW is all the talent, all the tools. It's an alternative. It's giving you something different. If you are a person that really just loves good wrestling matches and you want to see your fantasy matches that you are not going to see anywhere else, AEW is going to give them to you. Week after week, I do look at their cards, and I'm like, I look forward to this show because there's matches on that show that I want to see. But the wrestling classic Justin and me that grew up loving over-the-top characters and storylines and like getting involved and invested in characters and storylines and caring about the match even more because the storyline was so good, sometimes that's missing for me on the week-to-week basis for AEW. By the time they get to a pay-per-view, they have matches there that had good storylines that have me invested. But on the week-to-week basis, sometimes I'm like, oh, they're just throwing matches. I feel like Tony's just throwing matches on a piece of paper and be like, this will be a good show for Dynamite. And you know what? It will be a good show, but also it doesn't mean fucking anything. And that's the fucking issue. There were certain things that did mean stuff on Dynamite. The Hangman promo, the MJF Darby thing moved forward a storyline. FTR winning the tag belts was a moment. But then again, then there was just stuff that happened. 6-man tag matches, singles matches, and just stuff that happened that were cool, but mean nothing to next week. And that's my fucking problem. There is now a championship tournament to see who faces, gets a title shot that will conclude at Full Gear. The bracket for that, I'll quickly let you guys know. And then we're going to step on Roman's next comment and then talk about his thing with Brock really quickly. But the World Title Eliminator Tournament, the first round matches are 10 from the Dark Order facing Jon Moxley, Orange Cassidy against Powerhouse Hobbs, Dustin Rhodes versus Bryan Danielson, Lance Archer versus Eddie Kingston. At least when these matches happen, there's a purpose behind them. They're for a tournament, and we'll see how that plays out. The next thing that Roman Reigns said that I want to break apart was he said, I don't see them as real competition. A lot like Nicki said. Because I think their fan base legitimately is a hardcore fan base. So there's a ceiling built in ground to that viewership. WWE is trying to connect with everyone. We're trying to connect with the mainstream. We're trying to pull in the casual fan. We're trying to engage the new viewer while also servicing our hardcore fan base and giving them compelling stories to fulfill them as well. Then you talk shit about CM Punk, but we're not going to talk about that right now. No, because we don't have that much time. We don't have that much time.
You should have
The thing that a lot of people commented in the comment section to that post that I made about Roman's comments is compelling storylines. What fucking compelling storylines? Let me tell you something about the WWE. I understand that all the storylines are compelling. They aren't all compelling. But you got to be fucking kidding me. I understand Roman's reign has gotten a little bit stale and repetitive, but if this whole fucking Paul Heyman love triangle isn't compelling, then you're fucking lying to yourself. Because Brock Lesnar came out there, said one sentence, and we were all like, oh shit. Yeah, I read that contract this morning with my advocate, Paul Heyman. And that's compelling. That made us want to tune in. We're still sitting there like, what if Paul Heyman doesn't screw over Roman? But what if he does? They are telling us compelling stories. Do you not agree, Santana? How do you feel about the whole Paul Heyman situation? Whose side do you think he's on?
I feel like it's Jimmy Uso.
Oh. You think he's going to turn? The nobody's bitch.
He could, a possibility. I mean, I just feel as if like I said, the only reason why I'm still invested in Roman Reigns' little heel run he got going on right now is because of Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman keeps his storyline relevant because if there wasn't Paul Heyman, I'd be tired of Roman Reigns and a lot of people would be tired of his boring ass too. However, for everything that's going on, now Brock being back in the picture, Brock is making the storyline even better. Because if Brock and Paul Heyman wasn't there, Roman Reigns would be a boring ass champion. So how is your challenger making this storyline even better than you can? You're the champion.
Because Roman...
There is no explanation for that.
No, but if you think about
nothing.
Roman's only as entertaining as his opponents because if you look at who he's been facing...
So basically his opponents are more entertaining than him. Basically his opponents are keeping people watching. Because if it was just Roman, nobody would give a fuck.
No, you have a point. That's what I was trying to say. I think the part of the thing, because he faced who? Bray, who people loved. Edge and Bryan Danielson, who people loved, the Usos, who people were just into the family feud, obviously, right? And then you had
His
Cena,
best
which
feud,
I don't
Kevin
love.
Owens.
Definitely.
Kevin Owens,
Hey, Kevin.
and that was one of those feuds where I wanted Kevin Owens to actually beat Roman. We had Cena. Fuck that guy. You know how to dream?
Yeah, but he
You
still
guys
made
know how
this
to
shit
dream?
interesting. You can say fuck that guy you want to, but
I had a dream
he
last
still
night
made.
where
Yeah.
I don't know what the situation was, but there was some sort of issue and everything kind of got fucked up. And my only resort was to interview John Cena. And then I was interviewing him, and I was so disappointed in myself that I woke up this morning. I was like, "What the fuck was that?"
What you disappointed for? You got to interview your idol, the person you look up to.
That shit is so funny.
I literally woke up and I was like, well, "What the fuck was that?"
I would have just died in the dream.
That was a fucking nightmare. But and then now he's feuding Brock. Like, seeing Roman's reign would suffer if he wasn't feuding other people that we weren't that invested into. And honestly, I love Ponytail Brock. I love the smiley, stupid, jokey Brock that we got right now. Roman.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So if Brock became champion and he's all smiley with the little ponytail and everything, would you take him serious? Brock is smiling. Okay, this man is smiling. He's jumping around. He got his feet kicked up, laid back. He's not flipping over tables or anything like that. Would you take Brock seriously if he won that title on Roman? Or would you just think that he needs to be the beast, Brock Lesnar,
and not a goof?
Not a goof. He being a goof right now. I don't take him seriously. No. This is not the Brock Lesnar that I know. Okay, this is the Brock Lesnar that's dancing with a sombrero and fucking shakers in his hand or whatever, like he's in a mariachi band. This is the Brock that I feel like I'm getting, just in a former look, but still, I'm not taking Brock seriously right now. And if he wins, I mean, why would they let a goof like Brock Lesnar win his title when he's not even being the Brock Lesnar he's supposed to be?
The amount of people that aren't going to pick up on your sarcasm is the funniest part about this.
The amount of people, fuck that I don't give. I could care less, but I'm just saying, like, but no, on a serious note, like, I honestly will say that I am here for this type of Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns feud, because this is where Roman is supposed to be serious. He's supposed to be all calm, cool, and collected. And then you got Brock, who's all like happy face, smiling, really enjoying himself, playing the field with getting Paul Heyman involved and making it seem like Paul Heyman is really the one who brought in Brock back and just getting him to be a free agent, reading over the contracts together, being on the phone together, all types of things. So I think that Saudi, this is where we kind of get to see who brought Brock Lesnar back and who does Paul Heyman side with.
And to the point, like, I want to call it all the way back to the Kevin Owens feud because he brought that up. We learned in the Kevin Owens feud what this Roman Reigns character is. If you really look into it, if you really want to break it apart, this is a man who has succeeded so much and the fans never accepted him, and then felt like he wasn't that good, but puts up this front like he's this tribal chief and cocky, arrogant, head of the table persona to fill his own ego because he's really just an insecure bully. We saw that. And he needs Paul Heyman to boost his ego. He needs the Usos to boost his ego. He needs people to acknowledge him to make him feel good about himself. Because we've seen Roman time and time again when he's won clean a handful of times, don't get me wrong, but there's been a lot of times where he was forced to cheat to win because he's become this insecure bully. He knows he's good, but he feels like he's never been good enough that he turned on the fans. There was like a more psychological backing behind this Roman Reigns character. Now to think that the people that are on his side might be turning on him, like because he easily could have been like, you know what, Paul Heyman, I don't know whose side you're on. Fuck you, you're out of here. But he needs Paul Heyman to boost his ego. He needs Paul Heyman to hold his belt. He needs those people around him.
He needs Paul Heyman to speak with him because Roman is still not that great on the mic.
He needs people. I mean, when he said dumb farmer, I popped. But he needs people to like make him feel like he's that star because he never got that admiration from the fans. That's why he yells at them in the middle of matches like, boo me now, because like that's the thing that I always wanted to do with Cena, embrace the fact that the fans aren't fully accepting. They never did it, but Roman embraced it. Now you got this really cool character. Brock's the one guy that's fucked with Roman so much in his career. More than Cena has. Cena killed him in that one promo thing, so we had promo insecurities with Cena. But Brock was the guy that walked out of WrestleMania 34 and beat this guy clean. Brock's the guy that like Roman had such a hard time overcoming. And now he might lose Heyman to him. And the fact that he's still not just dumping Heyman, because he's like, even at the end of SmackDown, like, you're just staring at Heyman like, what is this? Is this for real? Like, but he won't just can the guy, and Heyman can play him because he's this insecure bully that just needs all of that. And I think Brock's playing on Roman's feelings, and I think it makes a very compelling storyline and me to be intrigued to watch shows I don't even want to watch. And the point that, you know, even if the match isn't that fucking good, I'm into it because the storyline's fucking good and I want to see how it plays out. That being said, I'm going to pull out the Crown Jewel card right now, and we're going to make our final predictions. We can't really predict the King of the Ring and the Queen's Crown tournament finals because we don't know the finals yet. But I think we kind of made predictions earlier of who we think are going to go over, so that's okay. I'm just going to – I should have had this pulled up while you were talking, but my phone closed it. We got Mansoor versus Mustafa Ali. Who's going over? We all agree Mansoor?
My baby daddy.
Oh, really? You think Mustafa Ali's going over?
I'm just going to bring it.
He's gonna lose, but I mean, hey, yeah, whatever.
Just like I'm rooting for Jinder. Like I will always root for Jinder.
I'm gonna always root for Mustafa. I don't care about no Mansoor, whatever he want to be. Sword up, shit, get the hell on.
Goldberg versus Bobby Lashley.
Bobby Lashley, go ahead and beat that man kid.
Go on with that one. We already know. We don't vote with that old ass man. That man needs to go.
I'm only concerned because
that man needs to go home, bro.
Tell that man to go home and brush his kid up on some.
See what happened last time he was in Saudi.
The man already getting beat up.
I'm gonna go with Bobby, even though I think Goldberg's gonna win. I want Bobby to win. I think it's just
he gonna beat up that man's son again.
I hope so. I hope his son's in Saudi. RK Bro versus AJ Styles and the Nip Up King Omis.
RK Bro. Until Omos do a nip up, then I believe he can be another.
You think we're really gonna stretch RK Bro all the way to Mania, and then we get Riddle versus Orton?
Oh yeah, yeah, because Randy loves it.
It's gonna happen.
And Randy's at this point.
You can tell he loves it.
Yeah, and Randy's at this point in his career, like he just wants to work with whoever he wants to work with at WrestleMania.
He doesn't have anything to really prove anymore. Randy has done it all, so it's like
Randy wants to fight
whoever you want.
Roman versus Brock. I guess we should make a prediction.
Brock.
Get
that man out of here.
If there was any time to take the belt off Roman for him to have to win it
right now,
it would be
right now.
Because the only reason I was okay or down with the idea of Roman holding the belt till Mania was maybe do the Rock thing, but he could drop the belt a little bit before Mania. Because that match doesn't need the belt.
Feud doesn't need a title, Lord Jesus.
No, that doesn't. So he'd drop it around Rumble and maybe in December or something. But this is a good time for it. But what does Roman do after? I don't fucking know.
Go home.
Figure it out.
We got the tournament matches, which I'm not going to talk about because once again we don't know. We talked about it a bit earlier.
Exactly.
The one match which I think we're going to spend a good 5 minutes, maybe 5 to 10 minutes talking about really quickly though. Bianca versus Sasha versus Becky for the SmackDown Women's
Well, we really can't comment on that either because Bianca's having a title match on Monday, so we don't know how that's going either. So if we can't comment on the finalists, we can't comment on this either, right?
We can because we had this debate earlier though. Even this is something I said earlier. I'm like, if Bianca wins a belt on Monday, first things first, I just really want to say because we didn't really talk about it. Sasha and Becky had a fucking banger on SmackDown, by the way. That was a really there was probably I don't remember Dynamite that much. There's some good matches on there as well. But if there's 3 matches, I'd suggest you guys watching this week. If you were just like wrestling matches, watch Sasha and Becky, watch Bryan and Suzuki, and watch Punk and Seidel. Those 3 matches, in my mind, were the 3 best matches I enjoyed watching this week. Bryan versus Fish was good too, and there's a couple of other matches on Dynamite that were really good because that's what AEW does. It gives you really good matches. But Sasha and Becky tore the house down this week on SmackDown in my mind. I thought that was a really good match. With Bianca and commentary just adding to it and adding that extra little bit of drama, it was really fucking good. Am I tripping or am I just tripping?
It was a good. I mean, It was a good match. It was a solid match. There's just nothing there. I mean, they have history. They're in a triple threat, but we've seen this before. A lot of botches, especially from Sasha. A lot of mishaps with the top rope. We saw Becky take
I will say this. I was kind of out of it, but
Becky took a really hard tumble.
Yeah.
And to that point, I mean, the match was it was good. Here's the thing. Sasha won. So that's not a good look. Not winning in the going home match, that's not a good look.
But if there's something that goes down on Monday, if something goes down on Monday and Becky's the last one standing,
have a match, so she doesn't count. Becky's gonna win because Bianca's gonna win. So that's just what it is. Sasha's gonna leave again, and then we'll move on.
My thing was like, if Bianca wins on Monday, that almost makes it clear that Sasha will win on Thursday because reset. But because you can't have both belts in Raw. You cannot have both belts on Raw. If Bianca wins, then Sasha wins.
But they can still keep.
But if Charlotte retains
on SmackDown,
they're not going to. She's going to go to Raw. Seth is on Raw.
But you say they're not going to. I didn't say that. I said that's an option. Becky wins still an option.
I don't see Becky winning an option.
Sasha automatically win just because she's on a brand. You don't get to win just because you're on a brand. You get to win because you stay. You have to stay to win. So with that being said, we have to see if Sasha's even gonna. What are we gonna do? Give Sasha the title and then she drops within what Royal Rumble? Is she gonna stay around and be a champion and defend? Or
the Rumble? Who knows? Maybe she loses it. Maybe she loses on the SmackDown following Crown Jewel. We don't know. Maybe she drops it to Shayna or Charlotte in a triple threat for the new SmackDown season premiere. Maybe she carries it for a little bit longer. If Bianca wins in my mind, then Sasha wins on Thursday. If Bianca doesn't win on Monday and Charlotte remains the champion, then we have to see what. Then I think Thursday's up in the air. It can go either way. It can go Bianca winning, or Becky winning, can win Sasha winning it. Because then that means they still don't know what they're gonna do with the titles, and maybe they're gonna carry it into Survivor Series to figure it out. But until we see what happens on Monday, I don't know. And also, who stands tall at Monday? Bianca could win, but what if she gets attacked by Becky or something? And Becky's the last one standing. Usually, the last person standing before an event is not the winner.
Usually, but Sasha won a take-home match, so that's the same rules still apply. So they all probability is not good.
Yeah, but it's always my thing is the very last straw. The very last.
Sasha's a chaser. Sasha's going to the blue brand if she sticks around to chase. That's what she's gonna do. She's gonna chase. You got to stay around a little bit longer to get a title and hold it, because all they're gonna do is when you get ready to Hollywood and do your little shits and do your little things, then what you gonna do?
We don't know if she's even actually leaving. We're just assuming she's gonna leave.
No, but I'm just saying the girl been real honest about shit. Her heart ain't there. I'm sorry. Wrestling or not,
she's gonna leave again.
Absolutely.
We don't know for sure.
The record is there. She has
the Undertaker. Is the Undertaker in your room? Did the Undertaker just come to your room?
She hasn't stayed much this year, so she has her interest. Putting a title on someone who has interest in other places is sometimes not fair. They always bring up Charlotte holding people back, and I'm not saying this is going to hold people back, but if Sasha's champion and then she decides to go on something that needs her time for 4 to 5 months, you just wasted time giving her the title. We're not building Banks reigns like we're building Charlotte reigns, in my opinion. But
we're not. But to the point, Sam and Clubhouse made the point earlier. If Bianca beats Charlotte this Monday, does Charlotte take Bianca's spot in the triple threat? I know she doesn't want to go to Saudi. You've brought that up many times, but that is an option. And you could end up having Charlotte versus Becky versus Sasha for the triple threat instead.
I don't think that's an option, but I think that's a waste of time. I don't think she doesn't have, and I Clubhouse to Sam and everybody else that was in there. Y'all always want to bring Charlotte into something to make it look better. Stop doing that. These women can. No, I'm not saying you. Hold on, let me finish, because I'm not saying you. I'm saying everybody. Anybody wants to bring Charlotte into the equation to make something look better. We don't like her, but then we sit there and we be like, oh, well, what if Charlotte gets put into the match? Oh, well, why the hell do y'all want to see her in the match anyway? Y'all gonna get mad if she win because she gonna get put in the match to win, right? not gonna get put in a match to just be fucking around. She gonna get put in a match. She gonna win. They all gonna get mad. So stop putting her in equations that don't got shit to do with her. Let her lose on Monday. Let her show up on Friday to whoever wins, whether it's Becky, Bianca, or Charlotte. I mean Sasha. So that's my point. Stop putting Charlotte in the shit to make your match better. Becky and Sasha can go to Saudi by themselves if Bianca wins. My thing is to that point, and I told Sam this too, to that point, why are you taking Bianca out the match just because she won a title? Y'all don't do that. We don't do that around here.
You can still be the champion and have the opportunity to win both belts.
Double exposure. That's what it is.
And also going back to something I said like 2 weeks ago on the show. Another way around this whole title situation being on the wrong shows is I actually don't hate the idea of someone holding both belts and jumping on both brands for like a couple of months or somewhat. I'm not against it. I'm not against that. Mm-hmm. And then having to defend both titles on like Survivor Series. So
that diminishes the brand. They wouldn't do that for the men, so don't do it for the women.
I mean, they did it already with Becky, and then she lost one belt.
They did, and it didn't work.
It worked though. It worked. No one looks
absolutely back. Absolutely not. They didn't do nothing but give Charlotte back her title. How did it work?
Because Becky
gave Charlotte her title and Bailey cashed in.
They made some money. They sold some merch. Yeah, I know.
Double. If you put two titles on for one division, you're diminishing.
You're shaking your head. I really want to
do it for the men. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. That was
you're shaking your head. I want to hear your thoughts.
Becky 2 belts was cool.
I need your thoughts, Santana. Before we wrap this up. You're laughing over there.
I am really enjoying this debate between you two about, Charlotte. I mean, but it's true,
like the last 15 minutes, and it's so fucking weird because he goes on a tangent about nothing.
About nothing.
I mean, but
Sasha should win. You're like, nah, she doesn't. Her heart's on it.
It's always Sasha. Salsa.
It's always Charlotte.
Because she's superior. She's the best one.
We're back.
She's the best one.
We're both not wearing Sasha and Charlotte gear. You went Alexa Bliss. I'm like, you're like Charlotte. We're not even repping them. We're repping like 2 other girls. That's fine. These are our number 2s.
Yeah. Okay.
How do you feel, Santana?
Anyway, I'm rooting for Bianca all day, every day. She's the EST of WWE. I don't give a fuck about nobody else but Bianca Belair. And if she wins tomorrow, that's great. Yeah, it's gonna be Bianca, because it's been Bianca. Since she won the Royal Rumble, it's been Bianca. I don't give a fuck what nobody got to say. 2021 has been a year of Bianca Belair, and she meant that when she won the Royal Rumble. When she main evented in WrestleMania, she's been holding, even when she held that title all the way, she didn't beat half of the 4 horsewomen. Okay, so right now, I mean, she got to beat Becky and she got to beat Charlotte. So then once it's over, this will already solidify that Bianca Belair is that next top star, and the 4 horsewomen have been dethroned because there's a new girl in town, and her name is Bianca Belair. The stronger, the tougher, the fastest, the rougher is the EST. Like, girl, they don't even go here anymore.
Bianca fears Sasha. She ran away to Raw. That's all I'm saying. That's all.
Sasha fears her career. That's why she keeps leaving.
Hey, but if she needs thrones, if she needs thrones, who is she gonna fight? Is she gonna run around beating up Liv?
I mean, why would she want to waste her time beating up Liv? Watch me beat Liv up. Okay, that's where it is. Put it on a t-shirt. Watch me beat Liv up. Okay. Now let's move forward. But honestly, to Nikki's point, I will have to agree that a lot of people don't like Charlotte, but they always try to add her to a match and then say that, oh, well, Charlotte, I'm tired of Charlotte get opportunities. But the first person y'all think of is Charlotte when y'all try to add it to a match.
I love Charlotte Flair. She's probably like my second favorite women's wrestler of all time.
Anybody thinking about
saying,
let's add Sasha to a match?
Like, yeah, so you see what's going on here. Like, so like when I say it, I genuinely like Charlotte Flair.
Right.
So like, I think either Charlotte winning that belt. If you're gonna start the new season premiere of Smackdown, and you have both Sasha and Charlotte on the show, one of them needs to start as a champion, in my humble opinion. Either one of them. I don't know who. I don't care. Then it can go to Shayna. It can go to anybody else after that, and go back onto Naomi or whatever if they're building up for something. But it needs to start with Sasha and Charlotte. But on the flip side, if there's one person that's really grown on me this year specifically, it is Bianca Belair, and Bianca needs to hold it down on Raw. As much as I love Becky, she's had this run right now. It's done. Okay. Now let's have Becky have to chase Bianca again and try to actually beat her faster in more time than 38 seconds, I should say. So like, that's just my opinion, and I think we're setting up for. I don't think you can be disappointed any way this goes, to be honest. And that's a really cool.
Not at all.
No,
that's an amazing point to make too, because even if, as much as I'm not gonna say I'm a fan of Becky, but I mean she's in the 4, so it is what it is. I'm not gonna be upset either way. What I will be upset at, as much as I love Charlotte, if Bianca doesn't go over, that's gonna cause a weird rift for her to be going to Monday Night Raw, and who's to say she won't get taken out the match? Taken out the match on Thursday. Who's to say? Mm-hmm. But here's the thing, and to this point, it's women's wrestling that is thriving. And we sit here and we look at all the names that we have. I don't think that we're going to look up and celebrate AEW's 5-year and they have these monumental women, like they built a Charlotte Flair or built a Bayley or Becky or Sasha or Bianca or even Bliss and Carmella. Let's be real, because even some of our B players, and I'm not going to say that Carmella or Bliss are B players. I'm going to say this, but even for people that are looked down upon as a second grade, they still put on for their characters. And that's the thing. They still put on matches. That match that Liv and Carmella put on at Extreme Rules earned Liv a fucking plaque. That's how, and honestly, that match was fucking good. That match was better than the tournament. So to me, it calls attention to what's really going on. And that's that WWE, whether you like them or not, built 4 strong women. And these 4 strong women are out here building other women, whether it takes one at a time. Bianca is the hottest thing right now, and there's due credit to the women that came before her, and that's in this evolution. So
either way it goes, if it's Becky, if it's Bianca, if it's Sasha, Charlotte, I don't think you can go wrong. I think all 4 of those women are champions.
Put all 4 ass in the goddamn match at Saudi. Just put them all in the goddamn match at Saudi.
We wanted that too.
Although we know that Charlotte doesn't want to go there, but if push come to shove and somehow Charlotte gets added to this match, there's literally already something there between the 4 of them. The only person we don't have is Bayley. And right now, Bianca's in that place.
And I've said that so many times that and once again, one of the things that are going to be really redundant in the TWC show. There's only, when it comes to WWE, like there's things that I really enjoy, and it has been the Roman stuff. Even though I do agree with you guys that like the reign itself has gotten kind of still compelling stories, and it's been the women. If you ask me, Justin, what are you looking forward to on Raw tomorrow? It's Bianca and Charlotte. I don't even know what else is happening on that show, but I'm looking forward to Bianca versus Charlotte. Like, that's what I'm looking forward to tomorrow. I know Rated RK Bro's going to be on there, and I love Randy Orton. I know Styles is going to be on there, and that's AJ fucking Styles. But at the end of the day, I'm not even looking forward to whatever happens with Drew McIntyre and Big E, and they beat the crap out of each other at the end of last week's Raw. I'm looking forward to Bianca and Charlotte, and that tells you where women's wrestling in the WWE stands. It's fucking crazy. And then I also want to see Sasha show up, and I want to see Becky show up, and that's how good they've done with these 4 women the past 2-3 weeks, in my opinion. So we'll see what happens. We'll see who's standing tall at the end, and we'll see who walks out Thursday as the new SmackDown Women's Champion. We'll see who walks out tomorrow as the new, or not new, maybe Charlotte retains, but the Raw Women's Champion.
But I will say that I am interested to see that whoever goes to Saudi for the women match and whatnot, the one thing I am interested in is seeing what they're going to be wearing. There's a different culture over there, and we know the type of gear that they wear. I mean, I already know Bianca's going to make her own gear. But what about Sasha? Sasha clothes, she barely got nothing on.
Actually, to that point, though, I think that they're required to wear black tights. They get a long sleeve, and then they get a brand shirt. So that's how Lacey and Natalya were presented. They were giving brand shirts. They had their arms covered. Each of them had a natural hairdo, and I also think that's why a lot of the aesthetics, like I don't think, and this call me crazy, but are we gonna see Sasha with her hair? Are we gonna see Bianca with a ponytail? Like, are we? I honestly think these women are gonna come out natural. I really do. Maybe not but I think there's gonna be, because that's exactly how it was, and that's the only thing that we have. We've only had
didn't Naomi had braids, didn't she?
Maybe.
I think they'll be. I think every year gets more
buffs.
progressively okay with it every time.
Yeah, maybe it changes, but I know that's a natural look for Naomi. So maybe Bianca or Sasha will be able to keep. So that's what I'm worried about. That's what I'm like.
When Sasha and Alexa wrestled in Abu Dhabi a few years back, this is what Sasha rocked, and this is what Alexa rocked. If you're on the Patreon, you can guys see the pictures. If you can't see the pictures, just search Sasha Banks, Alexa Bliss, Abu Dhabi. There were these full covered gear to that extent. As you said,
that's cool.
Like Sasha could have whipped that out for fucking Abu Dhabi.
I remember the match. I just don't remember what they wore.
Yeah, so like they could whip out shit. They could whip out funky gear like this, where it's fully covered from like neck to toes, the hands open or whatever. But like this was kind of what they repped down in Abu Dhabi, which is also the same kind of cultural standards and whatnot. A few years back, and like we see the t-shirt. We've talked about how like Lacey guys rock the t-shirts and stuff over the gear. That's something they could do. Or it could be one of these full Power Ranger MVP looking suits, and they could probably get away with that as well. I think the really cool thing about it is, I said this in the Mariah May interview. If you listen to them, like I always like the fact that Mariah comes up with new gear, because as a kid, I was like, man, if you had different gear, like you get different gears in the action figures and different gears in the video games. And I think we have an opportunity to get really cool Saudi specific gear from Bianca, Sasha, and Becky. Whether it's like, look how cool that Sasha gear looked, even though it wasn't like her regular gear. Like you can make some cool shit just for this event and make it stand out. And I think they've been really like, when I think Natty and Lacey did it, it was very like new and we don't know. Let's just go out there and be as covered as possible. Turtlenecks, t-shirts, yada yada yada. And then as we progressed a little bit further, then it came to stuff like this or what Naomi guys did. And I think this time around maybe they'll get like proper fully covered gear. And I don't know. And I think maybe like, yeah, we'll see. I'm intrigued to see
what Bianca though. Like I know, Bianca make her own stuff though, so I'm pretty excited to see how her Saudi outfit is gonna look like.
Imagine 90% of Bianca's gear, but then just having full sleeves and like covered with the torso and the belly area too. Like it still looks sick. You know what I mean? Like her design and stuff. Like imagine that, but just all fully covered, like that Sasha gear, but it's all the Bianca. Like like it still looks sick. Half of Sasha's jumpsuits these days are basically could be her gear. In fucking Saudi, just with maybe a t-shirt over it, like you know what I mean. So I'm intrigued to see what it is as well. That being said, we should probably wrap this up. I'm looking forward to Thursday. I'm looking forward to tomorrow, and
wrap it up, Dean.
And listen, guys, I fucking love all the matches AEW's giving us. I just need more substance. That's all I was trying to say. I just need there was nothing. Barely anything that happened on Dynamite this week where I was like, man, I can't wait to see what happens on fucking Rampage or next week's Dynamite because I'm really into this story. And that's the only problem. That's my only problem. They keep giving us really good matches. Great.
They don't know how to write stories, so I don't even know what you're expecting. They don't know how to write stories.
They know. Like I'm investing in what Miro does. That's about it. Because he did a really good promo this week. And I don't care about the America's Top Team and Inner Circle stuff as much as other people. But they've been doing good with that, as I will say. But on the flip side, WWE's got me intrigued into their compelling storyline. So anyone that fought against Roman's point about WWE having compelling storylines, look how much we just talked about the women because it's been compelling for the last 2-3 weeks. So anyways, love you, Carmella. Keep doing the thing. Everybody check out all the links in my bio to my YouTube channel, to the Patreon, to 1:37 p.m. dropping a Bret Hart article this week. Shout out to my boy Jamari. FaceTimed me while he was at Warrior Wrestling and Bret was doing a signing. Answered the phone. Next thing I was on FaceTime with Bret Hart. How fucking cool is that? We had a very Canadian conversation where he was just like, hey, Justin. I'm like, hey, how are you doing? He's like, good. How are you? I'm like, good. And they're like, yeah. And then it ended. But it was cool because, like, you can talk to Bret Hart on FaceTime. Like, what are the chances of that? So shout out to Jamari. He's been on the show before. You guys know who he is. El Negro. Also, shout out to I really also want to say, we never really talked on it, but before I pass on to you guys to plug you guys' stuff, shout out to the fucking Miz, man. I don't watch Dancing with the Stars, but like I've been keeping up with what he's doing and like following his Instagram page and whatnot. And like, man, the way that this man goes above and beyond and puts an effort in everything he fucking does to like a different level. Like he didn't just go there and like try to be on Dance with the Stars. Like, this man's trying. And I watched some of those fucking dances, and this man learned how to dance. So, like, shout out to the fucking Miz. Miz and Mrs. got renewed for another season. Shout out to Maurice and Miz for that. And just fucking, honestly, for someone that I really disliked when I was a teenager because he was fucking annoying, I thought he was a really horrible wrestler. He's really become one of my favorites in the last, like, decade, 2010 forward. I don't know what it is. He's always over delivering. He's good at talking. He's always a good fucking character. So even if his matches suck, I've been invested in many of them because he's good at telling stories on that mic and in that ring, like wrestling should be, instead of just really good matches all the time. Nicki, anything you want to plug?
Well, to the point of Jamari, he also brought Trey Miguel, the infamous, to Clubhouse, and I'm a huge fan of his. And I'm ready for all the lovely wrestlers of Impact Wrestling to get back to the Skyway Studios in Nashville, where I am. Bountiful Glory is coming up. Make sure you guys check out my top 5 article on Women's Wrestling Talk. We are doing a panel tomorrow along with my tag partner, Santana. I can't wait for that. And just because we are tag partners does not mean we're going to get along with anything. So please join us there. I'll be posting it on my social media handles. You guys can follow me at Nicki Bougie at the bottom. Same on Twitter as well. And I always enjoy the Wrestling Classic, where here we love women's wrestling.
Yeah, we really do. You guys, like, I'm like a low-key, like a big women's wrestling fan, especially on the WWE side of things. Like, I made my own fucking Carmella shirts. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's great. Anyway, so for
out
me, my name once again is Nickie Santana. You can follow me on Instagram at Santana Muse. You can find me on Twitter at Nickie. I'm also a part of Women's Wrestling Talk once again, and I will be on the panel with Nicki tomorrow for the Charlotte Flair top 5 Charlotte Flair match. Just discussing her article that she wrote was absolutely amazing. Nicki has been writing some amazing articles over at Women's Wrestling Talk, so make sure you check out for her next article that she's going to drop as well pretty soon. So be tuned for that. If you want to argue with me about my Big E article, you can always find it at the Culture Commentator. Is there on the website. First thing, literally sitting there waiting for you to read, unless you're going to stop at the title and then go to Justin's comment section and then at me, or come to my DMs. I don't care. Either way it go, I promise you, you won't be coming back. And it's not because I blocked you, it's because you already know what's up.
And that's why Santana taught me.
Keep doing the thing. We'll see you guys all next week. Appreciate you guys waiting for this week's episode. I just want to make sure we got through Dynamite. Might be the same thing next week, guys. Might drop the episode on Sunday because Dynamite is again on Saturday next week. And you guys would know this if you follow my page. Also, guys, follow ths.wrestling. I've been posting on there extra content for you guys. A lot of quick rapid-fire questions with Penelope Ford, Amba Nova, Miro, Deonna Purrazzo. So check those out in the IGTV Reels section of ths.wrestling. We reached 2,000 followers. I appreciate all you guys that came from the Wrestling Classic to ths.wrestling. I appreciate your support. Keep doing the thing. Embrace the madness. And, ooh, yeah, dig it. Trifecta for life.